Hello and welcome to, well, sort of Meet Our Makers. I'm your host, Jeremy J. Facette. This is the first installment of what I hope will be a recurring segment, I guess you could say, as an offshoot of Meet Our Makers, where I interview for a second time people who I've had on the show. And we're calling it We Meet Again. So the point of this series of episodes that, again, I hope will come to fruition is that where the first time I talked with someone, we had a lot to talk about. We had a new project, we had old projects, we had history, we had biography, we had random questions about the current project or past projects. You know what I'm saying? There was a lot on the list. With this series, I'm hoping to really zero in on whatever the project at hand is, and also just kind of have a little bit of a shoot in the breeze. We've already met, we already kind of know each other, at least in this weird sort of pseudo way via a past interview. I don't really know. It's a new venture for me. And on this very first special episode of We Meet Again, I am chatting with Nandi Rose, aka Half Waif. In this chat, Nandi and I talk a lot about her newest record, the one from last year called See You at the Maypole. It was my personal album of the year, which she knows, and I probably embarrassed her again and again, complimenting her and her work, but it's a really special record. It's a sad record, it's a moving record, it's ultimately quite a hopeful record. It's really, really beautiful. And we really dive deep into this conversation that she starts with this record about her own experiences with a pretty brutal miscarriage. So consider this sort of a content warning. This episode does contain some pretty visceral and pretty upfront language about the process of her own miscarriages in general, and the grief process. So if you're sensitive to that, just know that that's coming. But it was really fun getting to talk to Nandi again with a much more casual air. You'll hear me early on say something to the effect of, this is just going to be a short, conversation, just a quick little, mini episode. But I think as, if you've hit play on this, then that's not the case. This episode is about an hour long. But I last spoke with Nandi about 3 years ago, and we've, sort of digitally stayed in touch here and there. So it was really fun to get a chance to just sit down and kind of cut through the niceties, of like introducing, and just kind of get right to the meat of the conversation. We talk about the ongoing crisis in Gaza, which thankfully maybe is turning as of today, January 20th. There have been a few hostages released and a few Palestinian prisoners returned. When we recorded this chat, this was a couple months ago, so this had not happened yet. So just bear that in mind. But we talk about that. We talk about grief. We talk about songwriting. And I actually think it's a really special and better conversation than our last one. And I think she would agree. So I'm really hoping this continues. Thank you for checking this out. If you're a fan of Half Waif, if you're a fan of our last conversation, if you're a fan of my podcast in general, I think you'll get a lot out of this. So I'm going to stop babbling now. And this is me meeting again, Half Waif.
Hello.
Hey, Nandi, what's up?
Hi, Jeremy. Oh, I'm so glad we're doing this.
Me too. I'm surprised and excited because I've kind of thought about doing this thing before where I like loop back around with people I've talked with already, and it always felt like, I don't know if people want to do that. So I was very pleased that you wanted to do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot has changed since we last spoke.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, just now my son was napping and he needed to finish his nap lying on me. So I was just like sitting in the dark for an hour. And so I was like, maybe I should revisit the last conversation we had because I don't remember what I said. And so I started to listen and then I was like, I can't actually listen to myself. So it will remain a mystery to the sands of time. But hopefully I don't just say all the same things again.
I mean, yeah, mute myself too. I don't think that'll be a problem given that, I think I last spoke with you like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels maybe 2 years ago. I don't remember. It was when Mythopoetics came out.
Yeah, which was 3 years ago.
Okay, then it was 3 years ago. And yeah, I mean, I listen to myself again when I edit these and then I'm done.
Yeah.
So I totally get it. I don't I don't expect people to revisit. But yeah, so yeah, a lot has changed. So thanks for coming and hanging out for a little short chat hangout thing. I don't really know what I'm calling these.
Short chat hangout thing. I think that
Yeah,
has a ring to
I think that's pretty snappy.
it.
So how are things?
Things are good. Things are
Yeah.
really good. I mean, yeah, I think I have to divest the like personal from the collective.
Mm,
Because and which is hard to do these days, but at least like if I'm keeping the circle really small around myself, I can say things are good.
hmm.
Um, my home life is good. It feels really nice to have the record out there. It's fall. I'm looking out the window at the trees turning colors, and I live
Yeah.
in the part of the world where like people flock to see this season.
Yeah,
So
you're upstate New York, right?
upstate New York, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we get the leaf peepers
Yeah.
coming to witness this transition. And I always feel so inspired by seasons in general, but definitely this turn
Mm,
towards the darker part of the year. It's funny, I hate the cold, but I really like relish the opportunity to go inward and be cozy, and just like the energy that happens at this time of year is really potent, and I always feel at my most creative in like fall and winter.
mm.
So in that way, I'm like, I'm all for it. I'm like, bring on the end of the year and another winter. But yes, we are sitting inside greater concentric circles of absolute terror and horror,
Absolutely.
as we watch what's unfolding in Gaza, and knowing that our country is supplying, facilitating this genocide, supplying arms, and we're going
Hmm.
into an election season where, I
Hmm.
mean, none of our potential leaders are really doing anything about it. So, in that way, it feels paralyzing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you mentioned sort of separating the personal from the collective. I find that tricky, especially because as a teacher, I was just having this conversation last night with a friend who was sort of talking with me about what's going on today or yesterday in Gaza. We should mention today, I don't know exactly when this will go up. Today's October 15th,
Mm.
2024. And I mean, I say that because every single day it just
Mm-hmm.
compounds. So
It's been a year.
it's been a
It's crazy.
year
It's been a year.
and it's just
Yeah.
ballooned and skyrocketed and it's just
Mm.
not easy. And so I was having this conversation last night because she asked me, is this something you can even broach, at work
Mm-hmm.
as a teacher? And it's kind of not. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those sort of last frontier issues that I don't know, it feels like scary to talk about, and yet it's
Mm-hmm.
like how how I somehow managed to not talk about it is like mind-boggling to me because it's all I want to
Mm-hmm.
talk about. Not that I want to talk about it, but
Uh,
like, you know what I mean? I just like
totally.
it's so vitally important and it's like
It is important that we talk about it. I was
it
sitting on the couch with
is.
my husband last night, and we were both talking about it and crying, and I was like, we don't talk about this enough. I mean, we
Yeah.
spend so much of our time talking about parenting stuff and, and everything else that's going on. And I was
Yeah.
like, I know that he and I are both thinking about it all the time, and we're both, seeing horrible things online, and it was really hard to talk about it, but it was like, it just felt like such an important thing. So it's like elephant in every room right now, it feels like.
Yeah.
So that's why I bring it up at the very top of this conversation, because, you say, how are you? And I'm like, I'm so,
Yeah.
we're all so conditioned to be like, I'm good. Or
No,
like, we
it's
just
a
say kind
loaded
of the surface.
question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it is like I was saying, it feels really good to share the album. It's like, yeah, it is like, wonderful to come to the end of this gestation, working on this music for years, and
Hmm.
to kind of take it off my shoulders and take that weight away and say to the world, it's yours now. But having to promote that and exist in an
Right.
online sphere where, posting stories about like, here's some beautiful red trees, and here's a tour poster of some shows I'm doing, and here's, children being mutilated.
Yeah. Hospitals
It
burning.
is like how, yeah, it's very, very dissonant. I don't know if I'm going about it the right way. I don't know if I should be promoting the music at all right now, but
Yeah.
I think we're all kind of trying to navigate how to exist at this moment in time.
Yeah, it is. It's a tricky thing. I remember around this time, it must have been around this time because it was just after the October attack that sort of started this current phase of the tension.
Mm-hmm.
I interviewed Lizzie from Land of Talk, and
Oh, love Lizzie.
yeah, and they were lovely, wonderful conversation, but like they when it came out a few weeks later, they messaged me personally and they were like, it just feels I can't promote anything but what's going on. Like because I
Mm-hmm.
think their album had just come out too, and it was like that was a challenge too. And it's just this sort of thing where we feel, okay, how do we honor our work that we, poured ourselves into,
Yeah.
and of course want people to listen to up against something that is so monumentally different and in so many objective ways, frankly, more important. And it's
Yep.
like, how do you balance the two? And I don't, you say you're not sure if you're going about it the right way. I don't think there is a right way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think you're feeling it out like we all are. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I follow your presence online pretty closely. I mean, as closely as anyone, and it seems like you're not talking about it.
Mm,
So there's that.
yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It is good to talk about,
Yeah,
just in this forum right now and sort of address.
yeah,
So thank you for giving space for that. And I think one like small way I can reconcile it is just that the album does deal so head on with grief, and
right.
it was like my intention and hope when I was working on it that it was a very personal story of pregnancy loss, and that is talked about directly, in the lyrics, but that I was hoping it was also a broad enough container for people going through their own circumstances that might look very different, but they're still traveling to that same landscape of barrenness and
Yeah,
being frozen and paralyzed, and kind of looking for a way back to life and to living and to moments of joy. And that, to me, that's just like the most human experience, is that like we all have that capacity
yeah,
to go to like such extreme dark depths, but to kind of resurrect and like reach for the light. It's like I have so much faith in humanity in that way, because I think it's really embedded in our collective DNA that we reach for something
yeah,
joyful and hopeful, as best we can, and that you know doesn't have to be a grand thing. Like just thinking about the genocide that we're just talking about. Like I'm not saying in the midst of this we should be happy and hopeful,
right.
but that you see photos and videos coming out of Gaza, and the children are dancing and people are still living their lives
They're trying.
as
Yeah,
best they can, because there is some like inherent spark in us, I think,
yeah,
that we are like made to protect and coax forward
hmm.
as
Yeah,
best we can. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, one of the things about your record, "See You at the Maypole," is that yes, it's a very, very sad record, and you know that. But there's hope there. I said, I wrote a review for Beats Per Minute and said, it's not a lightless record, um,
Mm-hmm.
because of exactly what you're talking about, that sort of spark for the future, for hope, for whatever onward brings us.
Mm-hmm.
And what's happening now over in the Middle East, I mean, you have to think it will conclude one way or another. It must conclude one way or another. It's just a matter of how, and that's sort of the troubling thought right now.
Yeah, and just speaking about the record, it's like a time of being in the darkness. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was writing it mostly in the winter time when there was no sign of life around me or inside my body.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what, like, the Maypole is this image of like, I'll see you there. We're not there yet, but there is this like springtime and this Maypole where we will all gather and braid our colors and create something much stronger and more vivid, and more joyful than ever before, strictly for our meeting there.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't make a Maypole alone.
Yeah. Is that where the phrase collect color comes from? The idea of the Maypole?
Actually, it was collect color came first. The Maypole came a little bit later in the process. Okay. And kind of ended up tying everything together, which is amazing when that happens.
Right.
But I was actually just reading the children's book, Jamberry. I don't know if that is something that like everyone is familiar with, but it was a big
I am not,
book for
but
me.
I have not read.
Man.
I've not read a lot of children's books, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, Jamberry. I mean, I loved it as a kid, and I just came upon it in our local bookstore, and I got it for River, and was reading it to him. And there's an iconic scene of a Maypole and these like ribbons and these ponies dancing and strawberries falling from the sky. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is where the Maypole started for me. It was like maybe it was a core memory embedded somewhere in there, in Jamberry. But Collect Color, just the idea, that was one of the first songs that was written for the record, before I even got pregnant the first time, actually. I was buying a pregnancy test, but I was not yet pregnant.
Which is in the lyrics.
And exactly, yeah. And yeah, I was walking to the studio that day, and I was in this sort of industrial part of Brooklyn, Sunset Park, which is where Zubin used to have a studio, and it was just like a really ugly walk, and there were like I ended up on this block with these chickens in cages just like smelling like shit, and like there was a lot of like just kind of like scary stuff around me. It was not where I live, which is pastoral and beautiful, and it's like so easy to find. I mean, the first line is no obvious beauty when I'm in the city, but so then the task and the challenge becomes to look for it, to find the morning glory pushing through the wire, to find the moments of joy and the moments of color, and that like essentially becomes this metaphor for life of what we're doing. We're like on this walk, and we're here to collect color and these experiences and moments of perseverance in the midst of a really scary, grungy city block.
Yeah, which again feels almost accidentally metaphorical for what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
But that phrase, I mentioned that phrase because not only do I love that song, but the phrase comes up later too. Like it is a phrase that acts sort of as this anchoring thing on the record, because you bring it up again, I think, on Sunset Hunting.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah. And that became another, this was months later, after the miscarriage, when I would like literally get in my car at 4 p.m. and go and like hunt the sunset and like go and find it. I just really desperately needed to experience that color at a really colorless time of year. And it just like, I hated the idea that like these beautiful things were happening around me and I like wasn't experiencing them. Yeah. So I had to like drive to it. I had to go and find it. But yeah, collecting color did become sort of a like mantra at that time. And I think it was only recently when I was doing another interview that I realized that the baby born after a miscarriage is called a rainbow baby, which I did know. I'm a rainbow baby, and my husband is a rainbow baby, and River, my son, is a rainbow baby, and so we are a rainbow family. And we have these prisms all over our house, and there's just like rainbows around the house, around the white walls, and
Mm.
that feels like this really like powerful cosmic wink that happened also because
Yeah.
here we are collecting color in that way.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned you worked on this record for a long time, and if people didn't know the story of it, you've kind of already referenced that it is largely anyway in response to a miscarriage that you experienced. Was it ever something you didn't think you'd write about, or did you know you'd be able to? Like, I guess I'm wondering about
Mm-hmm.
that sort of journey between like going through this experience that, of course, you never thought you'd go through, that is so intensely
Mm-hmm.
personal, but at the same time also, unfortunately, a very shared experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's so nakedly personal, this record. Like, you're not cloaking a ton of it in layers and layers and layers and layers of metaphor. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I guess I'm curious, were you ever unsure of putting out music about this time in your life?
That's a good question. Well, when I started the record, it was meant to be like a journey into motherhood. Like I knew I
Hmm.
was approaching this phase of my life where we were ready for that, and it was a really like hopeful and exciting time. And that's when I started the record, it was like King of Tides, I-90, Heartwood, Collect Color. There's like a bunch of songs on the record that were written in that headspace.
Okay.
Um, and when the loss happened in early December 2021, which was, yeah, it came out of nowhere. It was a missed miscarriage, which I didn't even know about at the time, but it's when your body doesn't recognize that the
Oh,
life has
wow.
stopped growing, so it holds on. It doesn't naturally expel it. So we
Oh,
just like
wow.
went in for an ultrasound, and there was no heartbeat, and so it was just really devastating. And then
Yeah.
my body held on to part of that pregnancy for another 4 months without me knowing, or
Mm.
without my doctors really giving me the care that I needed. So I wrote through that entire season of being kind of held back, and stuck. I just like couldn't move on. I
Yeah.
really, really wanted to move on, but I like
Yeah.
physically couldn't, and emotionally I couldn't. So to answer your question, I, you know, I write for myself. So that the first song I wrote after we found out was 2 weeks later. It was Fog, Winter, Balsam, Jade, which was the
Mm.
first track on the record. And it like it was just, that writing was just for me. I didn't necessarily think like, okay, now the record is going to be about this. In fact, I really, really, really did not
Yeah.
want to write another heavy record. I know that that's the Half Waif way now. It's like another heavy record. It's where my writing comes from.
Yeah.
It's a healing space for me, and if it can be that for anybody else, that's a real honor. But pretty soon after this experience, I looked to art to help me process poetry and books and um, painting.
Mm.
Frida Kahlo has some really amazing work about it, and Sylvia Plath. Um, and so I think I was inspired by the bravery of these artists who came before me, who did tackle it head on, um, and because it helped me so much, I think I was like not afraid at all to
Mm.
talk nakedly about it. In fact, I felt like it was a real like honor to be able to have any sort of platform where I could talk about it, because it is so often just dealt with behind closed doors. I
Yeah.
mean, I have people coming up to me who are like in their 60s being like, this happened to me, and like they're crying, and they're like, I still like, they hold it in their body, and having a space to share in that experience, I think can be really healing even years later.
Hmm.
So because I was given the gift of that, kind of having that mirror in other artists, I really wanted to be able to pass the torch that way.
Yeah. And it is such a thing that historically, culturally, socially, at least here, I can't speak elsewhere, but at least here, it seems like just one of those things nobody talks about. And I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, I guess maybe because it's just so tough to talk about just emotionally. But,
Yeah,
there is sort of a stigma around experiencing
completely.
this as if it's
Uh,
something anybody
yeah,
did.
right. Like, I don't want to sound bitter, but in releasing this album, I was almost like looking forward to doing press because I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah,
And I was like, I'll get a chance to talk about it, like for myself and then also for other people,
right.
because I wanted that when I was going through it. I felt very alone, and yet you're being told all the time that it's so common.
Right.
Um, and I've sort of been surprised, like that I haven't actually had like that many opportunities to talk about it. And like, yeah, I'm trying to understand why that is. Like, I've seen reviews that barely mention it. It's like, this is what,
Yeah.
like, it is hard to talk about, but there's also this feeling of like, because it's so common. Like, I don't know. It's this weird contrast where it's so difficult and sort of tabooed, but it's like, but it's also common. So it's like people don't feel like it needs to be talked about because it's happening all the time.
Maybe.
But when it happened to me, I mean, I was just like so shocked by how brutal it is.
Hmm.
Like actually gory.
Yeah.
It's like horrific, and what happens to your body, like hormonally, um, like it's really really intense. And so I was just like, wow, for something that's so common and that we're like, this is just a part of the landscape, like of conceiving, and it's like 1 in 4, this happens in 1 in 4 pregnancies, whatever. But then it's like, wow, like how are people just going around like experiencing this? And of course it can be different for everybody. I don't want to just put a blanket statement on it because I only
Yeah.
know the way it happened to me. But having talked to other people too, it's like, whoa, this is like, I
Yeah.
was not prepared for that.
Yeah, and
um
that is the other piece of it too. It's like, of course, we all hope it doesn't happen, but it when it does, I feel like no one's prepared. Not that you can be prepared, but like no one knows what to expect because it's not really talked about. It's sort of
yeah,
like, everyone's afraid to touch on it, but it's like you say, 1 in 4. That's very
yeah,
frequent.
yeah. And because I didn't have any, like, I didn't really have the support that I needed when I was going through it. Like, that's why this retained tissue was not diagnosed for 4 months. And I
Mm,
had just like a ton of pain and irregular bleeding. And it was just like a nightmare.
yeah.
And it's made me feel like, I don't know, I want to like train to be a full spectrum doula or something where,
Mm,
I'm like, I could be like, we just should have people who can like give care and
yeah.
knowledge, and just like tenderness at a
Yeah.
really traumatic moment when you feel like, yeah, for me, it was just like the medical team kind of failed me, and
Yeah.
it didn't. Yeah, so I found a lot of solace and healing in art, and that's like where I could find it.
Yeah, and I mean, not every single song is about it. As you say, some were written beforehand,
Yes.
but they do link um thematically, emotionally. So, I think some people, like I, for one, when I saw the news of the record when it first came out and Figurine was released and all that, um, I got a stream of the record and I was like, wow, it's 17 songs. That's a lot. It's a lot of songs. Like I think in my original like news post I wrote that it was a double album, and then someone contacted me like, no, 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 it's a regular record. It's just 17 songs. I was like, oh, I guess my brain just computed that it's a
Well,
double
it's a
album.
double vinyl.
It
It's a
is a
double
double vinyl.
vinyl.
Yes,
Yeah, I
I
guess we can
do.
say that.
I have my gorgeous copy over to my right. But yes, so it's a long album, but it's like it it's so holistic, even though not everything was written right after. So I mean, I think it's really
Mm,
interesting what you've done, and the way that you've kind of found almost like backwards compatibility of like these
mm.
earlier songs that somehow fit right in with something that happened so much later. Um,
Thank you. I'm glad that's your experience. I think it's because, even though it was sort of on opposite ends of the spectrum, like it all is sort of under the umbrella of the idea of mothering. Mm-hmm. And I mean that like very loosely, because I think of like a lot of the songs are about Mother Nature and sort of the care that I get from being in nature. And just the idea of like the fluid role of the mother is something that I was thinking a lot about that year. Like, what does it mean to mother? And I think on Mother's Day, when I was trying to get pregnant again and just feeling really sad, was just like, okay, how else can I show up as a mother in my life? And like, what else does that look like? And certainly like there's an aspect of mothering songs, birthing songs. We talk about birthing albums. I said the word gestation earlier of being in a place of growing something, and releasing music into the world has this quality of like letting your kids go and being like, I don't even know who you're going to meet and what kinds of relationships you're going to have with people out there, but you don't like really belong to me anymore. Right. So I kind of think about it as this like, the billowing skirt of motherhood, which is just like collected all these songs underneath, and they're all being cared for under there.
So what was the last song we're in for the record, if you remember?
The last like full song written, it was either Ephemeral Being or Mother Tongue. The two of those songs were written at a residency in Wyoming at UCross. And I think I went to this residency for 2 weeks and I was like, I'm going to write a whole other like big batch of songs and we're going to have to figure out, what's going to go on the album. And then I wrote 2, which is still great, but I thought I was going to write a lot more. And I felt like, wow, okay, this is me really coming to the very end of this process. And I knew after that the writing was done. But I hesitated because the song March Grass was a true labor of love Frankenstein, where when I first brought in the demo to Zubin, it didn't have a chorus. It had like an instrumental chorus. And he kept being like, I think there needs to be like words here. I think that you need to write something. I was like, no, I feel really strongly this needs to be an instrumental chorus. Like I had these weird vocal samples, which a friend of mine said sounded like The Secret of Rowan Inish. Like if The Secret of Rowan Inish was a musical, it would sound like this. And I was like, I love that. But got to give it up to Zubin. He kept pushing me on it. And at one point, I think he was up here in upstate New York at my house, and he's like, just try to write something, just try. And I sat at the piano and, wrote if we can't find our way out, little line. And then I think at that point, I already knew the album was called See You at the Maypole. So then I inserted, I'll see you at the Maypole. And that's where, like, kind of was this callback. So you were saying it was like almost like reverse engineering. And that song, I think, was reverse engineered in some ways. But it's cool because it became the last track. And Zubin wrote that whole outro. He sent it to me one day when I was driving, and he was like, okay, I wrote an outro, and I listened and was just like sobbing because it perfectly encapsulated to me the end of this journey. So I think that was probably the last thing that was written. Yeah.
Did the outro he composed include that incredible horn line?
The horn line is so good. I
cannot get enough of that moment.
It's so triumphant.
So good.
He played that. We recorded that in outside of London at Imogen Heap's studio when we were there in August 2022. So that was a really fun moment when we got to record that. But there's just like this beautiful, like produced, sampley outro that like the song ended, like we had it ending with these the trombones. our friend Willem playing trombone, just like, and then it cut off really hard. And then we realized it was going to be the last song of the album. Actually, I'm giving you I'm spilling the tea.
I love it. I love it.
Well, we really wanted Ephemeral Being to be the last track on the album, and the label was like, no, that's weird. Like, you shouldn't do that. So we tried a lot of different things. But anyways, once we realized March Grass was going to be the last song, we were like, we can't end with this really abrupt, like almost goofy horn, like cutting off. So that's how that like beautifully sculpted outro happened that Zubin just conjured up.
You say you were just sobbing. I was like thinking to myself, if that was my song and I got that composition back, I would probably have to pull over. Like
well, exactly.
I'd be like, what did you do? This is like magic.
Oh my God. It's magic. And it really, like, I have such a strong visual of that song. I really wanted to make a music video, and we just don't have any budget. So I don't know if it'll get made, but I could see it just like, that outro is like, we've been up all night at the Maypole, my friends. Right. Like, we've had such a raucous, wild night together, and now we're just like stumbling home through the fields, and it's misty, and like dawn is breaking, and we've been through something, and there's color on the horizon that we're moving towards. Yeah,
it's like it's the morning light after this long, dark night of an album, and then we get this like, I mean, in my review, I compared it to the Nicholas Britell scores for like If Beale Street Could Talk or Moonlight,
which I love.
Just those like filigrees of horn that just feel like they're not even of this earth. Like, if you haven't, people who may be listening, if you've not heard this moment, you're probably a little bored, but like, believe me, we're going long on this one moment, but like, it is a moment. It is such a moment, and it's such a. I mean, I didn't hear the version without the outro, but with the outro, it is such a transcendent sort of send off for the record, and probably I would argue kind of like your biggest song maybe ever.
It's probably the longest.
It's definitely the longest, and I mean, I saw a clip that you had reposted from one of the live shows, because you did the 2 full album live shows, and there was like that moment when the horn cuts in, people started clapping, and I was like, it's so good. Was it how were the live shows, those 2 kind of one-off two-off shows where you played the whole album?
Amazing. Like, best shows of my life, honestly. I feel like I've been on such a journey over the course of this career. Which has been long at this point. I'm old. I've been doing it for a while. Just trying to figure out how I want to perform. Like, I've never felt like fully comfortable performing. And I get really nervous, and with these shows, I think the addition of dance and kind of theater elements, which was choreographed and conceived of by Cora Rodella, who was my dance teacher in college. And she's an incredible choreographer, modern dancer, and she's been doing all the movement direction for this album. But it really has added something for me where it just, the show feels like this big like ritual now. It feels like sacred, where they're like, each song is like a different step in this like rite of passage. These rituals of grief and hope. And I think this like component of theatricality was missing for me. Like, it's still a concert, it's still a rock show in a lot of ways, but there is this like other facet now that I think maybe I had shied away from in the past, or felt like it was too over the top, or I just wanted to be cool. I don't know. I don't really care about any of that stuff anymore. I know that I felt really aligned, and the band like was just absolutely stellar. We spent a week together. It was like band camp. We put together the whole show. And we will be touring this show, I should say. Like, we did put together the whole album for the release shows, but then we were like, we just did so much work. It was so much work to get together
Yeah.
that entire show. So I think the idea, just like spoiler, if anyone's planning to come to the show, or if you're not, I hope this convinces you. We're going to be doing this like pretty epic set with some older stuff as well.
So it
But
won't
we
just be
will.
the
I think
straight
we will.
album.
It won't just be. Yeah, I'll have to figure out like how. Like we might play the album front to back, but then like have another like
Oh, okay.
portion of a few older songs. I don't know. It feels like such a piece.
It does.
And it's yeah. And it's going to be not quite the full band. We can't bring the harp, clarinet, and violin as much as I would love to, but it is a 5-piece band, so it's the biggest band I've toured with, and we would take up a lot of space and a lot of sound and cover a lot of ground dynamically and texturally. So I'm pumped. Also, we're using in-ears for the first time. It's changed my life. I can actually hear myself sing. I mean, my voice is my primary instrument. It's crazy to me that like for this long, I've been relying on, monitors, like wedges on the stage, which like you could basically never hear.
Yeah.
So, it's been transcendent in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I know. I was curious about the upcoming tour just because those two shows were so specific and so special. I'm trying very hard to finagle a way to get myself to the Somerville show, which I think
that would be great.
Which I think is your last U.S. show, if I remember correctly. So
yes, that's right.
Yeah,
last one for the East Coast.
It's on a Friday, which is like, I'm a teacher, so it's a little tough. But it's also a weekend, so I'm like, can I make it? I'm going to try to make it.
I hope you can. It would be great to see you there.
Yeah, I would love to see. I've never seen you live, and now with this 5-piece, I'm like, well, now's the time.
And I truly have no idea what's going to happen next. Like, I really don't know. I'm like, it was such a big period of my life,
right.
Making this record and sort of what I and my family went through. I mean, I'm writing a book about it too, which is wild. Cool. So I'm like, really, I've just like been so deeply in this, and now it feels good to be like, I did that, and I'm like free to, welcome in whatever's next, whatever ideas are percolating. But I have no idea what that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier you were hoping not to make another heavy Half Waif record. So maybe your next one's going to be trying. Your big pop, positive bop record.
Yeah, it might be positive bop record, might just be like instrumental. I don't know, but I'm kind of curious about, I teach a songwriting workshop, and I talk to my students a lot about just like writing every day and kind of touching in to the practice, even when you feel like you don't have something to say. And I've been doing that with like creative writing more so in the last year, but I'm feeling called right now to get back into my studio. And like it's such an interesting process when you write from a place not of that, deep emotional, upwelling, like what happens when it's like, I'm writing music because it's my favorite thing to do, and I love playing with sound, and I'm curious to try to write a song like this, I think that's a cool way to approach it. So maybe something will come out of that.
Yeah. And you mentioned your son River. How old is he now?
He's 16 months.
Okay.
He's true toddler.
Yeah.
Very active. He is a mighty river. He's like not like a trickling stream. He's just like a full on river.
Because I have no concept of infancy. Is he talking yet?
He says words. Okay. Kind of more and more every week.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely like very communicative, though not fully talking by any means. Yeah. But he's been walking for a couple months, and now he's running. He's gone.
Do you or did you ever consider in the future like letting him in on this story in this album?
Yeah, definitely. I think
I would imagine
it's part of him. It's part of his journey and where he came from, and I think a lot about like the life that sort of paved the way for him. And the metaphor that always comes to mind is just like when when plants like die back and they enrich the soil and they mulch it, and like from their death they coax forth this new life, and that's like those were his beginnings. So yeah, I look forward to sharing that with him someday in the distant future. But
Right.
more broadly, music is very much his legacy because, you know, my husband's a drummer, and
Right.
we are just playing music and singing all the time. And River just wrote his first song the other day.
Oh,
I
wow.
was so stoked. It was about a banana, and
Perfect.
it goes na 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 na. So he did that, and I was like, River, you just wrote a song. You're a songwriter like Mama.
Yeah.
And he looked at me just like with this huge smile on his face.
Aww.
And so now I'm always like, River, do you want to sing your song? And he gets this like little proud smile. So that was his first experience of like the magic of being able to conjure melody and create a song out of nothing.
That's so cute. Well, I suppose we should go. I don't know.
I know. We can, yeah.
I know. I mean, I feel so. This is the first episode of this, like, I don't know what the hell I'm calling it, like offshoot or miniseries or whatever that I've done.
Well, offshoot is nice.
Yeah, that's right. It sounds almost like a branch. It's like a branch.
Well, exactly. I think of like a little, or like a little green shoot. Yeah.
A little shoot. So I have my point being, I have no idea how long these are like going to be or supposed to be, or like, will they be shorter or longer? I don't really know. I guess I don't really care. Because the whole point,
maybe keep it fluid.
Excuse me. The whole point is like just revisiting with like a hyper specific focus. Because like before, yes, we had mythopoetics, but now we talked about kind of everything because I had not talked to you before. And now, the name of my show, Meet Our Makers, it's like, well, now we've already met.
We've met.
Kind of. So now I can't say I'm meeting you again. So now we're just hanging out. So we'll see. We'll see how long these are. But, I could probably talk about this record for a very long time.
Oh, well, thank you so much for inviting me back on and for the really beautiful review. It means a lot. It's like, you never know like where the music is going to go. So it's nice to get it bounced back sometimes.
I mean, I've had the record for a while on my computer because we were lucky enough to get very advanced streams, and it's like taken over my life.
Oh,
and I'm not trying to like I'm not trying to embarrass you or like be too fawny or whatever, but it's just it's fucking beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So yeah, if people don't know, See You at the Maypole, that's the newest Half Waif record. It is out right now. And you will be touring soon, and I hope people go out, including myself. I hope people go out and catch your epic live show.
I hope so too. I will see you at the Maypole, my friends.
Sure, you sure will. Thank you so much for hanging out again.
Thanks, Jeremy. This was really wonderful. Glad to be connected.
Yes, me too. I appreciate you.
And I'll maybe see you in January.
I really hope so. I would love to see you up in Somerville. So I hope so. Yeah,
definitely come say hi if you do make it.
I will.
All right.
Thank you so much, Nandi.
Thank you. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.